In this video, you'll learn about the Emergency Shelter component within the Emergency Solutions Grants Program, or ESG. But first, let's take a brief look at ESG itself. ESG is a federal grant program offered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. The California Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD, receives ESG funds directly from HUD and administers the state's annual ESG allocation. ESG assistance is flexible and can be used to support a variety of activities under 5 project types, or components: street outreach, homelessness prevention, rapid rehousing, the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, and emergency shelter, which is what we'll talk about here. The emergency shelter component provides much-needed funding so states, local governments, and territories can reduce the prevalence of homelessness, engage with individuals and families living on the street, and place them as soon as possible in quality temporary shelters that offer essential services. No leases or occupancy agreements required. People who would be considered eligible for emergency shelter assistance are those who fit the HUD definition of homeless. Broadly speaking, they are in one of 2 groups. The first are those individuals and families who don't have a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. They may be staying in a public or private space not designed for human habitation, or in another shelter. They also could be exiting an institution where they've been for 90 days or less after living in a shelter or place not meant for human habitation. The second are individuals and families who have no other residence, lack the resources or support networks to obtain permanent housing, and are fleeing dangerous conditions such as domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking. So now that we know who is eligible for funding, let's see what activities are eligible. In other words, how can the emergency shelter component best help those in need? ESG funds can be used for many essential services beyond case management, from outpatient health, mental health services, and substance abuse treatment to childcare, education, employment assistance, legal services, life skills training, and transportation. Additionally, ESG funds can be put toward the costs to operate and maintain an emergency shelter on a day-to-day basis. These can include repairs and maintenance, rent, security, fuel, insurance, utilities, or furnishings for the shelter. Of course, all emergency shelter projects funded through HCD must have proper policies and procedures. These rules detail how each funded project can be a part of the local coordinated entry system, so those in need can connect quickly to permanent housing and other resources. Because coordinated entry is critical to moving people from sheltered homelessness to housing, projects should be part of the process to the maximum extent possible via their local continuum of care. More information is available from your coordinated entry leadership. All ESG-funded emergency shelter projects must also use their local HMIS to keep accurate records of all people served by a particular shelter. Please consult the ESG program's HMIS manual or reach out to your HMIS lead for details. In closing, we encourage you to read the Emergency Shelter Policy, which sets out how HCD expects state-funded emergency shelters to operate. You can also review the Emergency Shelter Client File Checklist, which details what HCD expects to find in every client file served by ESG funds. You can find both documents on the HCD website, and you can learn more about ESG components in our other videos.